Hello friends, welcome back to our channel, Daily Dreamland. We will discuss interesting facts about bees. Bees are efficient pollinators and play a crucial role in the ecosystem. There are three main classes in a bee colony: workers, drones, and queens. The queen bee's main function is reproduction, laying up to 1,500 eggs per day. Male bees, or drones, have no stingers, and their sole purpose is reproduction. Worker bees collect nectar from flowers and transform it into honey through a complex process. Honey has a long shelf life due to its low water content and acidic pH. Bees communicate through body language and carry pollen on their hind legs for both reproduction and as a food source. The decline in bee populations is attributed to factors such as pesticides, parasites, viruses, and climate change. Bees can be found on every continent that contains flowering plants that need to be pollinated by insects. Although bees were not the first insects to pollinate flowers, they evolved to be the most efficient at the task of pollinating pollen. There are three main classes of bees in bee colonies: drones or explorers, workers or workers, and yellows or queens. Honey is made from nectar, but honey doesn't come out of flowers with a sticky shape and golden color. The three main classes in bee colonies are workers, drones, and queens. Each class has a specific role. Each class has an important role in synergy and continuity. This role will support the life of the colony. Starting from the queen of the bee colony is randomly selected from birth. She's exclusively fed royal jelly, which accelerates his development. After growing up, she then roams the hive to kill his competitors, namely other prospective queen bees, and take a position on the throne of the late queen. The main function of the queen bee is reproduction. At its peak, it can lay up to 1,500 eggs per day. In general, a queen bee can lay up to 250,000 eggs per year, up to 1 million eggs throughout its lifetime. During the breeding season, she will fly to distant nests to mate with several males, stores all the sperm he gets that will later be used in the nest to lay eggs. Any unfertilized egg that is not directly touched by sperm will become a drone or male bee, which means they only have one set of chromosomes, while the fertilized egg is a female bee that is destined to become a queen or worker. Male bees in their colonies do not have stingers, and their appearance is unlike most bees. What you often see is male bees only live for a few months a year. They look rather strange, with huge eyes forming almost from their entire head. They have big eyes to see the queen when flying. The only task of drone bees is reproduction. They spread genes inside and outside their colonies. They leave the colony every day in search of a new future queen who wants to mate deliciously with her. Although it seems the lightest drone bees work, but there is no feeling of envy or envy, because everything is outlined before they are born. And And this is all to support the colony. Did not expect that the collection of bees in the hive can be that complicated. The process of turning nectar into honey is quite complicated. Worker bees will explore the flower nectar. After finding a good source of nectar, they will enter the flower by burying their head into the flower tube using their long proboscis, which has been specially adapted to sip little by little the nectar into one of its two stomachs. Each bee has two stomachs, one for digesting food, the other for storing honey. A bee may have to suck more than 1,000 flowers to fill her honey belly with nectar. If it is fully loaded by weight, it can be almost equal to the weight of the bee itself. On the way back to the nest, digestive enzymes in their stomachs are already working to turn the nectar into a sweet liquid. When returning to the hive, the nectar in the stomach will be distributed in a mutual manner. The worker bee will regurgitate the nectar into the mouth of another worker bee. Then the worker bee will regurgitate it into the mouth of another bee, and so on, until finally it was placed in a cell inside a beehive. This vomit relay game is an important part of the honey-making process because each bee will add digestive enzymes to break down long chains of complex sugar substances in the raw nectar into simple monosaccharides such as fructose and glucose. At this point, the nectar is still sufficiently diluted. The bees flap their wings and create a flow of air inside the hive to evaporate and thicken the nectar. And finally, they cover the cells with beeswax. Thus, making bees rich in this enzyme can complete its transformation into honey. Technically, honey that keeps bees away, due to its low water content and its acidic pH. Honey does not invite bacteria or fungi to breed, so honey does not rot easily and has a very long shelf life in the nest or in your kitchen. In fact, there's honey found in Egyptian tombs that are thousands of years old is still very pure, although no one dared to eat it. This proves that the quality of honey does not decrease even if stored for a very long time. Although they can't speak, they communicate with body language. Bees that have just returned home in search of nectar will dance to tell other bees. Where they find nectar, the circular dance means the flowers are close enough to the nest. But for nectar that is a long distance away, they will sway. You've probably seen bees carry pollen on their hind legs. Logically, we would have thought that it was just pollen accidentally caught. But the reality is, it's not that simple. Plants actually want bees to carry their pollen and then leave and spread it. That's called pollination, the way plants reproduce. But bees also need to bring home the pollen they find in large quantities, if you can, because pollen is a protein-rich food for them. I am afraid of bees because they can sting. Although the sting is not so painful, it can be deadly for someone who has allergies. And although it is widely believed that honeybees will die after stinging, this is not entirely true, because the very honeybee will simply slip out of his stomach if the skin of the victim is thick enough, so that the thorns stick too deep. This occurs on the skin of most mammals, but in other insects, they can sting without harm to themselves. Actually, the answer is quite simple. Case of bees die after stinging humans is because they lose part of the stomach and digestive tract. Plus, the muscles and nerve tissue are attracted along with the sting. Over the past 15 years, the bee population has shrunk very quickly. A phenomenon of loss or destruction of bee colonies causes not just one, but there are many factors that lead to the mass death of honeybees. The main cause of the death of bee colonies around the world, associated with the widespread use of neonicotinoids as pesticides. Bees that come into contact with this pesticide will show symptoms similar to alter or senile. They spontaneously leave their nest only to get lost and never find their way home. In addition to pesticides, there are studies that bees also die from various kinds of parasites, viruses, and fungi or mites. Attacks the queen bee, weakens the bee larvae, and leads to disability. Global warming and climate change are directly affecting the pollination process. Interfere with the timing of flowering. At times of rising global warming, the flowers will bloom early before the bees have a chance to pollinate. When bees finally do pollinate, the nectar available is very limited, and competition for this valuable resource becomes more intense. This is a very serious matter and may soon become a reality regardless of your beliefs. Global warming is real, and we need to take responsibility for our actions before it's too late. A bee is a fairly simple creature, but together they create a very complex and social colony. If thought to make honey is another form of farming on a small scale, and yet bees do that while pollinating most of the flowering plants in the world. Amazingly, these little insects Here are some interesting facts about bees. Hope you enjoy this video and gain new knowledge. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. If you have any suggestions or want to share other facts about bees, feel free to leave a comment below. We'd love to hear it. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.